Lunch with the Regional Water Authority. My name is Kevin Watsey, and I'm the resident water nerd here at 103.5. If this is your first time listening to the show, the rules are simple. Just grab yourself a big old glass of tap water, sit back, and enjoy your liquid lunch. Super excited about today's show. Today we have somebody who should be very familiar to all of our listeners and viewers here in Hamden. Since 2021, she has been the mayor of Hamden. And a great town Hamden is. It's Mayor Lauren Garrett. So welcome to Liquid Lunch. And as we do with each of our guests, I like to always start with a little segment I call Tell Us Your Story. It's kind of like the comic book version of origin story. Love to hear about the path that you took to become mayor of Hamden. Where'd you grow up and what made you decide to get into politics? So welcome to the show, Mayor. Tell us your story.
Thank you. It's great to be here. So my story, actually, you might find interesting. So I grew up in Michigan, and I went sailing on the Great Lakes with my dad. And so when so I have a great love of water, and so I went to the University of Michigan and got a degree in naval architecture and marine engineering. My goal was to actually build boats. So I came out to Connecticut. I had a job at Director Shipyard. And
so like boats, like you wanted to build like naval warship boats or yachts?
No, war is not really my style.
Okay.
But, so what's interesting though is that, my degree was, for building boats, ships, but also anything that goes in the water. And so unfortunately, oil platforms fall into that category as well. So I never did anything with the oil industry or Department of Defense. So I worked at Director Shipyard, started a family, had a family business, and then got very involved in, the schools because my kids were young enough. So as soon as my kids started in preschool, I was active in the preschool classroom and then in elementary school. But I really wanted to see how decisions were being made. So attended a lot of Board of Education meetings and Legislative Council meetings. I got involved in the Democratic Party and then decided to run for Legislative Council. So I did that in 2019. I'm sorry, I did that in 2017. Ran for council. And got on the Legislative Council, and then in 2019 decided to run for mayor. Wasn't really thrilled with the information that was being provided to the Legislative Council and decisions that were being made. So I ran for mayor in 2019 and I lost. And then I ran again in 2021, and that time I won.
That's awesome. I found that sometimes you win by losing. You learn a lot.
You learn so much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what has surprised you most about in your time? Like, is there something that you assumed it would be like that it's not, or what surprised you most about being mayor?
So I think that I had a pretty good understanding of what the demands would be and the work that would be in front of me. But then multiply that by 100. So I think underestimated the need, from, years that management and maintenance were not happening. So, we came in and, a problem would come up and I would say, so what's the policy for that? And they would say, well, we don't have one, but repeated. So we've been, drafting a lot of policies, trying to improve, a lot of functions that happen within the town government, run more efficiently and make sure that we have, expectations for what should happen.
Yeah, I assume it's probably a lot like my experience. The policy is that's how we've always done it. That's the policy.
Yeah, but that doesn't always work, and it's good to have it on paper. So,
yes, I agree.
So we've been working on a lot of that.
Yeah, I call it the hit by a bus policy. If so and so is hit by a bus today, how is the next person going to know how to do that job?
Yeah.
And this is how we've always done it is not a policy.
Yeah, totally agree.
So, on this show, I love to talk history. And so to the extent could you tell us a little bit about the history of Hamden as far as, I know it's been around a long time. It's definitely not a new town here in Connecticut. Can Can you tell our listeners a little bit about the history of the town?
Sure. So, well, like I said, I was born in Michigan, so I'm familiar with some of the history because I've been living here for about 20 years. So Hamden was incorporated in 1786, and it is a very old town. I saw a map recently where it shows like the different towns that were incorporated, and then how other towns kind of branched off from those towns. And so obviously Hamden branched off from New Haven. And we have, I thought I'd kind of talk a little bit about some of the waterways, that go through Hamden. We have the Mill River. A lot of the, early, settlement and early, homes were really built around waterways, or had waterways built around them, right? Like the Farmington Canal. So we have the Mill River that runs through most of Hamden, and that goes into Lake Whitney.
Yep.
And Lake Whitney is a pretty big deal for the Regional Water Authority.
It absolutely is.
And so a lot of farms were built around waterways because they provided irrigation. So a lot of Hamden was farmland. Where I live, it was all apple orchards. That's kind of what a lot of it's like. But the way that Hamden has kind of been settled is resulted in us having some weird zoning laws, something that we're actually trying to change and modernize. So, if someone had to think about it today, would someone put Hamden High School right near Route 15? Probably not.
Yeah.
But that's where it is because right next to it wasn't all of our shopping plazas. So we have kind of some weird use of different land and properties, and we're trying to make something with that. But it's kind of we have makeshift zoning laws all over the place, and it'll get better. And I think economic development follows kind of changes in zoning and improvements in transportation. So.
Yeah, it's so funny you bring up the high school because I just moved to Connecticut about a year and a half ago, and I just drove by the Hamden High School for the first time last week, and my actual thought was, that's an odd place to have a high school.
Yeah.
But then looking at it, you can tell it's an older architecture, and so my brain kind of put it together that it was probably there long before the shopping malls and the highways and all that stuff.
So as part of Hamden history, Hamden High is turning 90 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. So we work with the Alumni Association for Hamden, and they have all these plans for putting in some brick pavers so that you can buy a brick paver from the Alumni Association, and then it can say like for me, Garrett family, and then my kids' names and their graduation year. It's pretty cool.
And add a little bit more to the history. So it was New Haven at the time, but the New Haven Water Company was started because Eli Whitney II dammed the Mill River, creating Lake Whitney, because the region needed a water supply for its growth and for his manufacturing needs. So, you and I were talking before the mics were turned on about our dam there.
Yep.
Which, we're actually going to do an entire show on the dam probably in about 9 months. But the RWA is rebuilding that dam, as you're aware. That dam, the rock facade of that dam is original to Eli Whitney. It was built in 1861.
Wow.
Yeah, so not a lot of things that are still in use from 160 years ago. But the dam is, and we've been maintaining it for, 160 years, but it's time to rehab it. So, more to come on that, but, we will be doing community meetings probably in the fall to go over that project.
Wonderful.
We're actually partnering with Quinnipiac University with their video game development students to create an animated video that's going to show everybody the steps in how you rebuild a 160-year-old dam.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a fun project. Our dam engineer who's been with our company 30 plus years wanted to retire, but refuses to retire until that project's done. Well, that is his legacy project.
Let's make sure we get that taken care of.
Yes. And he is one good dam engineer, as we
Sonny,
like to
right?
say. No, Sonny's our VP of engineering. This guy named Larry Marsick. Larry's been around a long time, and this is his legacy project, is to see that dam rehabbed. So, yeah, more to come on that. It's an exciting project, and it really is a marvel of engineering, how the folks way smarter than me are going to be, designing and rebuilding that dam.
Yeah. So a couple more pieces of history that I wanted to touch on. First of all, Alexis Holmes is an athlete from Hamden. She grew up in Hamden. And we found out last night that she is going to be on the Olympic team.
Terrific.
For Paris. And so she runs the 400 meter. She is amazing. I've watched her grow up.
Wow.
She's a very talented, hardworking athlete. And we have not had a Hamden Olympian since 1960.
Wow.
So
yeah,
we're super proud of her. Excited to see
awesome.
her run for Team USA.
Yeah, I was watching those time trials last night, and it amazes me how these sprinters and runners, they do their race and they're not even out of breath. Not me.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. And then the other piece that I wanted to bring up was we have Louisy cheese, which is manufactured in Hamden, but then there's also in North Haven, they have like a deli, a store where you can buy the cheese. So the way I look at it is that the cheese is made in Hamden, and then in North Haven they cut the cheese.
Yeah, see, that can tell I'm a father and I love a good dad joke, and that's a great dad joke. Yeah, they cut the cheese. I won't tell Mike Frieda that.
Well, Mike and I are friends. I think that he would take it with good humor.
Yes, I think a future show we're actually going to have Mayor Frieda on, and I may just have to say, the rumor is that you guys cut the cheese in North Haven.
Okay.
So that's pretty good. So when I do have public officials on, one of the things I also love to talk about and spend a lot of time talking about is all of the activities and programs that go on in town, because I think by and large, people live their lives. They don't really know what everything like the town government has to offer them in the way of summer programs, winter programs, senior programs, kids programs. So I want to talk a little bit about that, but I actually want to start with a program that just happened, not a program, an event, and that was Hamden Fest.
Yeah.
So RWA was a big sponsor of the Hamden Fest. I think it's a great event. It's my second year going to Hamden Fest. So can you just talk a little bit about Hamden Fest and what it means to the town and all that? Because we at the RWA think it's one of the best events that we attend.
Wonderful. So, Hamden Fest, I believe this was our 4th year. It's been growing every single year. And, I think it was our biggest, this June. We had a filled parking lot. And so lots of people came out. It's a partnership with the town and the Chamber of Commerce. So there is like a business expo tent, and then like craft vendors all on the green. There's entertainment throughout the day. There's just something for everybody. There's a kids tent so that they're active and have something to do. Usually some games or, something like fun for kids to do, like a rock climbing wall or bounce house. We even had, with partnership with our town clerk, we had a vaccination clinic for dogs. So just so much to do, and lots of food trucks. It was a lot of fun. Got a lot of people out on the green, and we love doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So I worked a table under the vendor expo, and the 8 hours I was there flew by because I was never not talking to somebody.
Right.
They were, we had a constant flow of people, and I've said it on this show before, but people think water's boring, but when somebody has a chance to talk about water and ask questions, the questions just keep coming and coming and coming. And so people would come up to the table. They asked great questions. We gave away a lot of collapsible water bottles. We had our water wagon there so people could fill them. It was really a fantastic event. So I encourage anybody who's listening, go to Hamden Fest next year. It really is a fantastic event. So now we've talked about events in the past, which our poor listeners could not experience if they didn't already. Let's talk about some future events. So,
Sure.
We'll start with the fireworks.
Yeah.
Does Hamden have a good fireworks show this year?
Oh, it's going to be really good.
Yeah?
It's on Friday.
This Friday?
This
okay.
Friday. So we are getting ready for fireworks. We have a big show planned. So, the Hamden Symphony Orchestra is going to open up, and we'll have some DJs, some dancing, lots of food trucks, and, an excellent fireworks show.
And where is it?
Town Center Park, right where we had Hamden
Oh,
Fest.
great. And what time should I be there?
Well, you're going to want to get a good spot and parking. So between 6 and 7 o'clock is a good time to get there. There's plenty to do before the fireworks go off at 9:20.
Great. Are there going to be any kind of food truck kind of things there? Or, yes, so food trucks,
Definitely
Hamden
food trucks.
Symphony.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I guess let's talk since we are
We have
right.
more events. Do you want to hear about
Yeah, I
them?
would love to
Okay,
hear
great.
about them. Let's talk.
you.
I was going to say, let's talk about some more events.
Okay,
Go for
so-
it.
So we have concerts on the green at Town Center Park on Fridays. Starting July 12th, we have Fat Man Scoop. And then July 19th, we have Tusk, which is a Fleetwood Mac tribute band. And then on July 26th, we have the Drifters, Coasters, and Platters.
Wow.
Yeah. So big summer concerts.
Free for everybody, right?
Totally free. And again, food trucks and, opening DJs and lots of fun.
Has Hamden been offering those concerts for a long time, or is it a newer?
No.
thing?
Yeah. We've been offering
Okay.
concerts for a very long time.
Great. So a lot of family fun in
Yes.
the evenings in
Yeah.
Hamden. What about summer events or programs for kids in
Yeah.
town?
So we have camp, a few different camps that we offer, starting at like 3 years old, up until high school. So those are all day camps. We have, like an extreme camp for some older kids and Brooksville camp, where our little farm is. And so lots of stuff for kids to do at camp. We also
And
have,
those are municipally sponsored.
they're
camps?
municipally
Yeah, okay.
run.
Great.
Yes, by
Okay.
our recreation department.
Great.
And then our library has a lot of stuff going on through the summer. Summer reading program for both children and adults. And just different types of, programming throughout the summer, from the library for both adults and children. Our library is really awesome, and the programming that they put on is pretty good. So, you should definitely check that out. And then what else do we have? Yeah, I think that's about all I can think of right now.
So we just experienced our first heat wave of the summer. Does
Yeah.
Hamden have any like cooling, like splash pads, pools, anything like that?
We do.
or-
We have a splash pad at Mill Rock Park. And that should be up and running very soon. We had to order a new part. We have a part that, gets damaged pretty frequently.
Oh.
And so we had to replace that. And it's an older splash pad, so it's hard to get parts. But,
Yeah.
it's on order. It should be fixed this week. And then we have cooling stations at our library, our 2 branch libraries, Keith Community Center, the government center. So there's a place to stay cool.
Great. And so you mentioned the library summer reading program for adults. Are there other adult specific or even like senior specific adults? That,
Our senior center is really awesome as well. Always doing a ton of programming. I've called the numbers at bingo, before, and it's a lot of fun. Our senior center is doing pretty well. They have a lunch program that seniors can participate in. But then they also have, different activities throughout the week, yoga, all sorts of different activities to keep our seniors moving around.
That's awesome. I speak to senior groups every once in a while, on behalf of the water company, and I'm always there when they start their meetings and talk about all the upcoming events. And I always joke, but it's true. Like, I almost can't wait to be a senior because there's never not something to do if you take advantage of those senior programs, and not just in Hamden, in all towns. They really do a good job of keeping seniors active.
Absolutely.
So what let's see, where do I want to go? What about you personally? Like, what are some of your favorite things to do in town?
Oh gosh. So I love participating in our municipal events, going to the concerts and fireworks and all that stuff and being around my friends and having fun at the park. Um, I have 3 kids, and so I like doing stuff with them.
I was going to say, like, if the kids are whining on a Saturday that they don't want to stay in all day, where are you taking
Well, I like hiking on Sleeping Giant. I like taking my kids, to different parks, and there's just always something to do in Hamden, which is really fantastic. I do spend a lot of time canvassing during the summer. But my kids are active, and especially my boys, they like to run, go to the gym, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And Hamden is 2-year elections, right?
Mm-hmm.
For mayor. So you're kind of never not campaigning, right?
So true. We have, our charter's been updated. And so in 2025, I'll be running for a 4-year term.
Oh, I think New Haven just did that too, right? They updated from 2 to 4.
Yeah.
It just makes so much sense.
It does.
As a political, I'm a political junkie, and I just, 2 years, it's like by the time you get your feet wet, it's time to run again. And it doesn't give you a chance to just get comfortable in the position and the role before you have to justify your reelection. So I'm glad to hear that they changed that charter, because I think elected officials deserve a little more time to figure things out.
Well, by the time I had to run for my second term, I hadn't even really gotten to my agenda yet. I was still just dealing with cleaning up and, kind of getting situated. So you really do need 4 years to make anything happen.
Yeah, I've always been a proponent, even down in Washington, of making the House 4 years and the Senate 6 years instead of 2 and 6. But
and it's also nice.
Nobody listens to me.
You don't want to have politicians constantly raising money for a race.
Well, yeah, especially in the House of Representatives, right? If they win and they're right back into the fundraising cycle, they don't really have time to govern because they're worried about most of them are worried about the reelection. But anyway, I didn't want to get too far off topic, but I could preach forever about my view of government and politics and how I don't think we teach civics enough in this world, and how important it is to understand how your government works, how laws are made. You can't hope to change things if you don't understand how they work. But I'll get off my soapbox now. Another question I love asking elected officials and mayors is, towns like Hamden, there's just so many great municipal services. Are there any lesser known services that the town provides that you kind of wish more people would take advantage of that they're not?
Well, I think that, coming out to town events, there's always something for everyone, and everybody has fun. And sometimes people say, oh, I wish I knew this was happening, because they didn't realize that, there was an event going on. We do a lot of promotion for our events. And, I think that the best way that people can hear more information coming out of the town is to subscribe to our emails. So if you go onto the town website, hamden.com, and click on notify me, you can put in your email, and about once a day, maybe even less, we will send you an email about different things that are happening in Hamden, or news that you should know about. We don't overuse it, and it's a good way to find out what's going on in Hamden.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the tax dollars are at work, right? You might as well take advantage of these events. And as somebody who's planned events, there's nothing worse than spending tons of time planning an event and nobody shows up.
Yeah.
And then they complain that there's nothing to do in town.
Well, there's definitely always something to do.
Yeah.
And then, I think that we offer a lot of services that can help people. And sometimes it's just knowing what's available. So if you reach out to the Keep Community Center or the Senior Center, depending on your age, we have people who can connect you with services if that's what's needed. And we are also working with Coordinated Access Network, CAN. to make sure that people have access to information and services so that people who are homeless or about to become homeless, that there's something for them.
Great. Let's jump over a little bit, being the RWA and the water company. I love to talk about environmental initiatives. So does Hamden have any new or exciting or different environmental initiatives, sustainability projects or things like that you could talk about?
So we've been doing a lot of work in terms of getting grants for some sustainability projects and made a lot of headway. So you've heard of Sustainable CT. Yeah. We've been enrolled as a town since 2017 and never made really much headway towards meeting any of the benchmarks. Last year, we submitted all of our information and skipped over the bronze benchmark and went right for silver. So we are working on being a designated climate leader this year. But we had a project last year for Town Center Park where we have the largest municipally owned rain garden in the state of Connecticut.
Wow.
So the rain garden is really cool. I'm sure you'll appreciate this. We had, specific kind of like pits that had to be dug and riprap, which is basically like stones that are kind of fastened together to slow down water to prevent erosion. All of this is from like stormwater runoff from Dixwell Avenue. So it comes through the rain garden, it filters the water and reduces the potential for flooding for a community that sits behind Town Center Park. So it's a really cool project. And what I really like about it is that it was funded federally by the state and in cooperation with Save the Sound. So we're bringing together our state government, our federal government, town government, and an activist organization. We had volunteers from the community help with some weeding and planting. And we had our municipal workers from Public Works and Parks do a lot of the heavy machinery digging part of it, which saved some of the cost. So it was a really well-run program, and we ended up having everybody just work together really nicely to produce the largest municipally owned rain garden in the state of Connecticut.
Did you use your naval architecture background to help design?
I did not. No, this was all done by our engineering department. That's
great. And another environmental program that the Hamden partners with the RWA on is the Has Waste program. Yeah. So if you have hazardous waste, you can come by the RWA facility at Sergeant Drive in New Haven Saturdays throughout the summer and drop off your hazardous waste. And it's free to anybody who stops by who lives in one of our participating towns, and Hamden is one of the participating towns. So it's a really good program. It's a way to get rid of all that paint and other things. And we get some kind of strange things every once in a while.
I've heard.
Yeah, you've heard. Yeah, it's I get a report every week of some of the things that come through, and it just boggles the mind sometimes what people have laying around in their basement.
Well, it's probably been there for a long time.
Yeah, I think the story I've heard most is, husband or wife was a science teacher in the 60s.
Oh, gosh.
And had like all the little chemistry sets from class. So there's, there's little vials of mercury and all this stuff just sitting around. And now that person passed away and the spouse has to get rid of it. And that's how it finds its way to us. I did hear one story years ago. We were doing a satellite collection, and a certain kind of acid showed up, and they had to shut down the entire block and clear it out because it was a very volatile thing that could have blown everybody up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Luckily it didn't. We work with real hazardous waste professionals on this. It's not guys like me doing it. But that's another great program that we partner with Hamden on. I'd love to turn next to economic development, business development. What are you excited about in Hamden as far as economic development, business development? I will say, and we're going to talk about food too. but I ate at one of the new restaurants, Haven Beer Company, which they did a fantastic job with that place. But what excites you about the economic development, present and future in Hamden?
Yeah, we've had a lot of really good restaurants open up recently. So we're thrilled with Haven Beer Company. And so right in that area, the Dixwell and Whitney intersection, we just submitted a grant application to the Community Investment Fund. It's for a planning study for that area to really create a sense of like downtown. So including economic development, traffic improvements, pedestrian improvements. How can we make this area, how can we improve it so that we have more economic development? And it stretches down to from like Whitney Avenue on Dixwell down to where Route 15 is. So that is so that we can connect with what we are working with DOT on, which is a road diet for Whitney Avenue.
A road diet.
A road diet.
Explain that one.
Sure. So right now on Whitney Avenue, you have 2 lanes going south and 2 lanes going north. Yeah. And so what you'll frequently see is people weaving in and out of traffic. The left lane will stop because you have somebody taking a left turn. And so the drive tends to be a little bit too fast at times and then congested at times. And so what the road diet does is it kind of smooths things out by having 1 lane go south and 1 lane go north and then having a center dedicated turn lane.
Oh, okay.
But included in this would be maybe some bump outs for pedestrian walkways. And so it really does make the traffic flow better, but it tends to slow it down a little bit too. So that it's not, you're not so concerned with how many cars can I fit on this road, and it's more how can we make them flow safely and efficiently. So the road diet is something that we're pretty excited about. The state of Connecticut, it's a state road, and so DOT is doing a study for like a road safety audit, and then they will be designing the road in 2025 and paving in 2026. And so that is to coincide with what New Haven is doing along Whitney Avenue. They're essentially doing the same thing. But for them, it is not a state road. The municipality has to do it. So
Whitney Ave in New Haven is a municipal road?
I don't know that it's a municipal road, but the municipality is responsible for taking care of it.
Interesting.
Which is unlike what we have in Hamden.
Yeah, so as you explained that, my first thought was people's reaction may be, well, you're taking a lane away. It's going to be worse. But, you know,
not necessarily.
Yeah, that's what but go ahead.
Yeah. So, but also if, you know, a lot of places you have a speed limit of 30, 35, 40 on Whitney Avenue. It changes depending on school zones and such. But, the goal is to have people do the speed limit.
And it sounds like the nice thing about this plan is you don't have to expand the road. It's just kind of painting different lines, paving and painting different lines and conditioning folks to know, you know, what you can and can't do on certain segments of Whitney Ave. Mm-hmm. Well, as someone who drives Whitney Ave quite often, it sounds good to me because you're right. If somebody just slams on their brakes to hang a left and then you get these people trying to cut around them, it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, it's not worth it to me to try and get around this person making a left-hand turn because it's just, it is kind of crazy out there. So that's awesome to hear about that.
And then on Dixwell Avenue, we're working with New Haven with support from a federal grant and state funding on bus rapid transit. And so the idea is that you can commute faster in a bus than you would be able to in your car, because the buses will all have chips in them that make the light turn green as they're approaching. So that will also, we're also working on a grant application with New Haven, kind of a joint application, so that we can make traffic improvements, pedestrian improvements, and economic development along the Dixwell corridor.
And as someone who rides their bike to work every once in a while, I can say sometimes riding your bike is quicker than driving your car too. There's a lot of times where I pass a lot of cars who are sitting there in traffic while I'm on my bike, and I utilize the usually the Quinnipiac lot on the Farmington Canal Trail, and then or the Todd Avenue one.
Mm-hmm.
Take the trail right down as far as I can, and it's a lovely thing when you can ride your bike to work.
Absolutely. So we do have a lot of economic development that is ongoing, and I think a huge piece of economic development is improving our transportation, so that people, as they're approaching, more commercial areas, they can slow down, see what's out there. You obviously want your storefronts to be closer to the road where pedestrians can get in, and there are a lot of improvements that we're trying to make to our infrastructure to allow more economic development.
That's great. And if you have any businesses that are large water users, call us, because we have the economic development rate for large water users who open in our territory. So we're happy to help you on that end, get businesses to move into town. So we talked a little bit about food. I love talking about food in the restaurant scene. And in my year and a half in this area, I've eaten at a number of restaurants in Hamden. Hamden's got a really good restaurant scene. Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about that? And I love to ask the question, family of four, you got a couple of young kids. Not every restaurant's right for a couple of young kids. So talk about the restaurant scene overall, but then, family of four, couple of young kids, where without endorsing any restaurants.
All right. Well,
where would you take them?
God, that's tough. So there's a new sushi restaurant that opened up, and they have hibachi too, if you have kids who aren't really fans of raw fish. But the food comes out on a robot.
Wow. Where is that?
That is in Hamden Mart, next to where Edge Fitness is.
I think I know where that
is.
is.
Sushi.
It comes out on a robot. The kids will love the robot.
Cool. Yeah, young kids will love the robot.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we've got a lot of really great food in Hamden. Micro is great to go to if you can have a little family bike ride.
Yeah, and I've wanted to go there for lunch, but they're not open for lunch. So.
I think they have better summer hours.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll have to check it. I checked probably back in March, so they were not open for lunch.
Yep. And then we've got a lot of great like Mexican restaurants, and a lot of Mazorca's really good. Just a lot of really good restaurants.
Is that the Greek restaurant?
No. Mazorca is on Dixwell Avenue. And they have like really good, authentic Mexican food.
Oh, okay. So I saw the Greek restaurant that's right there. Yes. Just got a national recognition.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Right? Yeah. I have a very boring palate. My wife, it's one thing she hates about me is, I'm a burger and fry kind of guy. So I would never go to a Greek restaurant.
You would like a gyro.
Does it have any fancy sauces on it? It has like the tzatziki sauce.
That's not that fancy, though.
To me, it is.
Wow. It's like yogurt and a little bit of lemon. Like yogurt. Oh.
I'm telling you, my wife, she gets so mad because I am the least adventurous eater.
I'm with your wife.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Yeah, I always say I'll go anywhere as long as there's one thing I can eat there. Yeah, so I will look at the menu a week before I know I'm going just to make sure there's one thing I can eat. But yeah, Hamden really does have some pretty cool, like I said, the Haven Beer Company is a really nice place.
It's really good. My daughter works there.
And I've been to Eli's. It's a fun place to eat. My team, we'd like to go out to lunch once a month just as a team building. We pick a different restaurant. I think most of the ones we've picked so far have been in Hamden. Because there's so many different, just a huge variety of restaurants there. So I am going to start a new segment. You are my guinea pig for this new segment, and I'm calling it 5 Unrelated Questions. It's just 5 random questions. It's random to the person hearing them, but they're going to be the same questions every show. First question: do you have any pets?
I do. I have 2 dogs.
Okay, what kind?
They're both Shih Tzu Maltese, and so my older dog is 14 years old.
Oh wow!
And so she's starting to kind of show her age. And a couple of years ago, my youngest said, "What do we do when Penelope dies?" And I said, "Well, obviously we're getting another dog." And then like a month later, we got another dog. And so that's Maisie, and she is the perpetual puppy.
That's awesome. And wait, so you said Pitbull, Maltese?
No.
Oh,
Shih Tzu Maltese.
Shih Tzu.
Yeah.
Shih Tzu.
They're little. They're like 10 pounders.
Yeah, I was gonna, yeah, I thought you said Pitbull. I'm like, how did that work? All right. Second question. Who is your favorite band or musician?
I like Journey.
Journey.
I do.
Nice.
I like something that you can have on in the background.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Journey. So I actually mentioned on my last show, and it almost derailed the whole show because we started talking about music. I used to work at a concert amphitheater. I was the backstage security manager, and I worked a lot of Journey concerts.
Nice.
And those guys are really nice guys. And it was amazing to me how they found their singer. It's not new. He's been there probably 15 years, 20 years now. And how much he sounds like Steve Perry. Yeah, I'm a huge Journey fan. So good choice. I approve.
Thank you.
What is your favorite hobby?
Oh, I don't really have a lot of time for hobbies. I do like, when I go home to visit my family in Michigan, I like going out on the sailboat.
Nice. So Upper Peninsula, Michigan, or?
God, no.
No?
That's cold. No, near Ann Arbor.
Oh, okay. Great. And this is probably the most controversial question of the 5 unrelated questions. Cookies, brownies, or ice cream?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Okay. What kind of ice cream?
Chocolate chip cookie dough.
Just had chocolate chip cookie dough this week. I'm a big fan of chocolate chip cookie dough. See, I'll get a little adventurous on the ice cream. Not too much, though.
All right.
And the last question of the 5 unrelated questions, who was your favorite teacher in school and why?
Okay, so my physics teacher in high school, he was very eccentric. He probably stuff that you'd get in trouble for now. But he was also the coach for the boys track team. And so I was on the girls track team and girls cross country team. And so we would kind of have like practices with the guys. He just totally different kind of guy.
He kind of brought physics to life a little bit.
He really did. So we had some fun activities where we would launch projectiles and measure the distance and the angle that it was shot off with. And we did a lot of really cool stuff. And so I went into engineering because I really liked physics.
Isn't it? So that's, you just hit on why I'm asking this question. Teachers make such a big difference in people's lives. And I don't think people get to talk about their teachers enough when they're adults, but I have a very similar experience. My favorite teacher changed my life. I kind of got into politics and government because of him. And, I just think I love talking about teachers. I think that they're unsung heroes of this world.
100%.
And a really bad teacher can be like the only class I ever failed in high school was physics.
Oh, okay.
Because it was a very dry teacher. It was just monotonous, and just if I had a teacher like yours, I may have gotten a D. I just don't have a physics brain. But thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
I look forward as we go on with more shows of asking that questions. I love hearing about people's favorite teachers. So I do have one last question. It's actually 2 questions I'm going to combine into one. It's part A is, what is your vision going forward for Hamden? How would you like Hamden to look in 20 years? And then if somebody listening is looking to move to the area, why Hamden?
Oh, Hamden is an excellent place to live. Every time that I talk to people, I like I said, I canvas a lot. And so I'm knocking on people's doors all the time. And by and large, what people tell me is that they love their neighborhood. And we have so many different neighborhoods. And so there's really something for everyone. And Hamden is just like I find it to be an easy place to live. Because, we're talking about all these restaurants. There's always something to do, and parking is easy. And, coming into New Haven
Can't
today,
discount parking, by the way.
It can be a real pain in the neck.
Yeah.
So I find it to be easy, to stay in Hamden, to shop in Hamden, to eat in Hamden. But there's so much cool stuff. We've got, West Rock Ridge. We have Sleeping Giant. We have the Farmington Canal. There's always something
The
to
Whitney
do.
Water Treatment Plant.
Yeah. It's, it's just a beautiful area where you really get to experience, nature, and like great restaurants and great people. And the diversity of Hamden is awesome. So you get to have these real life experiences, and we really treasure our diversity. And so we have all these events that we put on throughout the year to celebrate our diversity. So last week we had several events to celebrate Juneteenth. We had a Pride celebration the first weekend in June. We really want people to feel like they are at home in Hamden. But my vision for Hamden as we move forward is to really take Whitney Avenue, Dixwell Avenue, and just from the New Haven line north, and make sure that these areas, these corridors, have the economic development that we need to bring more people here.
That's great. So, listen, you've been listening to Liquid Lunch with the Regional Water Authority and our guest, Mayor Lauren Garrett of Hamden. And the one thing I want listeners to take away from this show is exactly what the mayor said. Hamden's a fantastic place. As I was looking for a house, we did look in Hamden, but then I got snatched up into Naugatuck. But I spend probably more time in Hamden than I do in Naugatuck, because it is such a cool place to be. So if you're out there and you're looking to buy a house or looking to move, Hamden's the place to be. And it happens to have top quality drinking water too. The tap water is fantastic in Hamden, if I do say so myself. So with that, thank you for joining us for another edition of Liquid Lunch with the Regional Water Authority. We'll close the show like we do every week. If you got that big glass of water, raise it and give a toast. Cheers to staying informed and staying hydrated. It's hot out there, so you do need to stay hydrated. And look for us in a couple of weeks for our next edition of Liquid Lunch with the Regional Water Authority. Have a great day.